Hockenheim, Germany's answer to Monza. A 4-mile-long ribbon of tarmac that at the end of its life in the early 2000s was essentially an oval punctuated by 3 chicanes, and then a stadium section at the end that slowed the cars down enough for people to actually get a look at them. And while this layout is often referred to as the real Hockenheim, the design of the track is even older than what it was when Jim Clark was killed at the track in 1968. It used to look a bit like this, and ran in the opposite direction, with a run into the town of Hockenheim itself and up towards Offertheim. But it's the oval style one that people know and love, hearing the V10 powered F1 cars of the 90s leave the stadium section and into the forest, with the whole disappearing into the forest thing just shrouding everything in mystery. Will they ever come out again? It's a track where the teams basically ran a flat rear wing for minimal drag, and the car didn't need to do anything really until it reached the stadium section. But then obviously, that all changed. The track has a very difficult history, particularly with money, even at the height of the Michael Schumacher years. There was also the chaotic 2000 race where a sudden downpour drenched part of the track and left some of it dry. There was also the security issues in that same race where a disgruntled Mercedes employee decided to run across the first straight while cars accelerated beyond 200 miles an hour. As a result, we're now using the current redesign that isn't as terrible as people make it out to be. But as you can see from some of these aerial shots, the ghosts of the past still remain. There might be one day the possibility of relaying the track, but nature has begun her takeover of what was ripped up. So for this instalment of Could F1 Handle, we're not going to go to the 2000 layout because, well, that's too obvious. We're not even going back to the 80s version where the second chicane was a left-right flick. Why not attempt Hockenheim with no chicanes? So for this one, we're taking the 2021 F1 car to 1966. Okay, so welcome to a very 1960s looking Hockenheim because, well, it's the 1966 layout of Hockenheim. So everything, like I say, looks nice and 60s except for the fact that there is a 2021 car sat at the end of the pit lane. The RSS Formula Hybrid 2021 car to be exact. A link for the car, which is a paid mod, will be down in the description for you. And as is tradition now, I guess. I mean, it's only been like 3 episodes I've actually used it in. I'm using the option 13 livery that I painted for this car. I thought I'd personalise the car a little bit. So I've basically trimmed the car out for top speed, so there's no wing. The hybrid will be turned up to top speed mode for when I go for the YOLO lap. There's no rake on the car. I think there's only like 5mm of rake on the whole thing just to try and get it to punch a hole in the old air. And no toe, maximum camber, just trying to get as little rolling resistance as possible. We're aiming for top speed to try and get around. So, in the words of one of the great philosophers of our time, how hard can this be? So, pull the clutches in. And give it some jandle and off we go. I am on charging. Good stuff. So, just a look of the track, first of all, before we start turning the wick up. Trees either side and a very primitive fence. There's a guy just vibing there on the escape road. The Formula 1 cars of the time would have been doing about 180 miles an hour down here. And as Jim Clark tragically found out, those fences aren't going to stop even a Formula 2 car going at high speed. So it's a wonder really only Clark was killed. I mean, obviously Depailler was killed here, and there's that looked like a fuel truck. If you crash into that, you're going to end up doing the full Montoya. So somewhere along that first straight was where Clark crashed. Obviously we've just gone through the Os curve, which is where Depailler was killed, and then they put a chicane in there. The third chicane was somewhere along here. I think it might be where this marshal's post here is on the right hand side, and that's where the modern track, the Tilkedrome, joins the new track, or it might have been there. Kind of feels like it would have been there. Sort of, yeah, feels about right. But this bit is all the same. Slightly narrower, the camera's a bit off, but no barriers. I mean, 1960s Formula 1, you had to be crazy. So, now sort of taking you around, let's give it a full throttle lap as we come over the start line here. Try and get the car pulled up and turned in for turn 1. No curb on the exit. Give it some DRS, why not? Just for some extra speed. 200 miles an hour, there we go. Right foot mashed to the floor. You can see the green bar on the right hand side of the screen. That's the input, so blue is clutch, red is brake, green is gas, and then the grey one is the force feedback. Now I'm going to have to brake here. 6th gear, hug the inside, trying to get it on the grass, and then power out the other side. More DRS. Up past 200 miles an hour once more. And this is actually quite a dull experience. Just because I'm not doing anything with the car. But if you were actually driving this thing in real life, obviously this is just a video game, etc, etc, it must have been one hell of a buzz. Travelling at over 200 miles an hour on such a narrow piece of road, and then having to spot your braking point for the 3 chicanes, and then trying to lob the car into the first corner of the stadium section. Put on balance high. First corner of the stadium section with very little aero grip over the front end. Montoya said he loved this place because going into the stadium section was like being in an Indy car. But guys from the era of no refueling, so your Brundles, people like that, hated the place because they weren't able to, you know, push as much as they wanted to, because in those days Hockenheim was a race of attrition. You know, Gerhard Berger's engine blew up with like 2 laps to go in 1996 and it handed Damon Hill the victory. 205 miles an hour, is that it? Alright. On the next lap we'll have to really go for it, I guess. Bit of a chirp of brakes into the hairpin. Excuse me. Top speed mode engaged. This is the closest we're going to get to the trench run from the Death Star. Let's see what kind of speed we'll get now. 210. So we're already up. 214. 15. 215. 16. Can I get a 17? No, screw you. Fire that DRS out the other side, give it a bit of curves as well. Might as well use it all up. 220, and then drag takes over. Maybe, I mean, like, it's just the way the car's built. I'm sure if they did a Monza spec of this car, you'd probably get some more top speed out of it. You can't expect them to, what's the word, accommodate every track combo. And we're through the final corner. To go 15 seconds faster than the lap record. Even with all of that. But then that gets me thinking. Because like I say, this must have felt like the trench run from Star Wars. You know, when they tried to blow up the Death Star in Episode 4. And with the sun coming through as well at certain points of the day, it must be like a German rave from the 90s, you know, techno blasting with the strobing of the sun coming through the trees and that, and the constant light dark, light dark, light dark of the shadows. So we've seen what a modern car is like, but what would one of the V10 monsters have been like? How fast would that have gone in a straight line around here? So I've switched over to Rubens Barrichello's F2004. I thought it'd be quite apt, given that it was at this track he got his first ever win. In a Ferrari as well. So just coming through the final sector here. There's no curbs on the exit, you idiot. Through the final corner, there's absolutely no downforce. I think the wings are on 2 and 5. 5 being the lowest the rear will go, and 2 just to stop it from understeering far too much. Again, 0 rake. Just trying to make it as slippery as possible. We're doing 215 now, and I feel like I'm going a lot faster than I did in the hybrid car, but then again, it's a smaller car. And I probably should do a video on the sluggishness that these newer cars tend to... Yeah, obviously they're travelling at much higher speeds through corners than this ever did. Oh my god. But they always look slower on the TV. Is it because they're bigger? So I thought I'd probably do one showing them going through Maggots and Beckett's or Eau Rouge or something like that, but it does look... I think it's coming across well on the camera as well, that it does look a lot faster. But this is the hard part. Down to second gear and trying to get the front end to bite. Yeah, that's what Montoya was talking about when he said he loved this place because of that lack of grip over the front end. Having to take these slower corners in much lower gears because I need to get the torque coming out because there's no hybrid. I've got to rely on the torque of the actual engine. And while I do appreciate the technology of these new cars and how they're built, these cars are a lot easier to drive because there's nothing to manage. Down the straight again. I'm doing the trench run with the hyperdrive engaged this time. And you also got the bumps in the track as well coming through the steering wheel. Yeah, direct drive. So I'm feeling everything. Down to 4th. Huck it in. No, the car's sliding wide. Had almost a 10th there. And it looks like the sun is in exactly the right spot. It's shining on the LCD screen. You can't really see any of the data. Up to 225 nearly. Yep, 225, 6, and 7. That bump into this corner. Whoa, really wants to settle the car. Getting some data on my screen now. This is fun. It's a bit more fun than the hybrid, but being at full throttle for this long isn't my idea of fun, really. Oh my god. And there we go, I've taken 7 tenths, nearly 8 tenths of a second out of my lap on that one. This would have been dangerous. But being at full throttle... I mean, the bit that surprised me is that I thought I wouldn't have to brake for the S-curve, but I did. Is this actually a fuel truck, or is it... I'm guessing that translates to fire engine in German. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully that's shown you what these cars would have been like sans chicane at the old real Hockenheim, even though there was a layout of Hockenheim prior to this one. So if you did enjoy it, and you thought this was just a bit of fun, then give it one of these. If you thought it was crap, give it one of these. I mean, I can't see that anymore, but anyway. And obviously, like, subscribe. I've always said like the video. Anyway, subscribe and get the bell on if you haven't already, so you never miss out on anything from this series or anything else I do here on this channel. And of course, big thank you to the patrons of the channel via Patreon. I am useless without script. The patrons of Patreon who are on your screen right now, and if you want to join them in supporting me on a more personal level by giving me a monthly tip, you can do so by following the link in the description, or following the links to Discord, or the vague directions to my social media that you'll find also in the description, along with a link to the hybrid car as well. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. So until then, goodbye.